Good evening. Welcome, everybody. This is our webinar on where to live in the UK. It's actually part of our Educator edition series. So you may have tuned in to our previous webinar 2 weeks ago on where to live in the UK, which was based on London, North, East, South and West. So tonight we are going to focus on Surrey, Bristol and Wales, which is very exciting. We have offices in all of those locations. And I will be talking through our Teach Outside of London area guide. And I will also post it in the chat. So if you want to read that in your own time, you'll have a copy of that as well. And so, yeah, my name's Jackie and I have been with ANZ UK for 4 years. And as you might tell by the accent, I am originally from the UK, a little town called Camberley in Surrey, and Surrey is one of the home counties southwest of London. And currently what I do is I help our Aussie educators head over to the UK and have an amazing time there. We help with all aspects of traveling over. So yeah, hopefully tonight you'll get some information that will help you decide where you'd like to live and just find out a little bit more about our locations. So also tonight on the webinar, we have Frank, who is our Surrey consultant. Would you like to introduce yourself, Frank?
Yeah, good evening, guys. Yeah, I'm Frank. So I've been over in the UK 6 years now. So I started over here teaching at a school in Surrey for a year with that through ANZ UK, and then moved into the office and been working in the office for the last 5 years. For the most part of my time living over here, I was living in southwest London in around Clapham, but for the last year I moved out to Epsom into Surrey, and I've really enjoyed that experience down there. So hopefully can sell that area to you a bit later on.
Beautiful. And then we've also got Finlay joining us from Bristol.
Hi guys, hello from Bristol. Yes, my name's Finn. I'm the education consultant working in the Bristol office. Been with ANZ UK since February. Before that, I was doing some supply teaching and also taught history as well. And I actually grew up in Wales.
Wow, hence the accent.
Yeah, slight accent there, yeah.
And then we also have the lovely Karl on tonight. Thanks for joining us, Karl.
Morning all. Yeah, I managed to stay in Wales. I work as a consultant in Wales, and previously to that I was a PE teacher in a former life. So we got some strong links all across South Wales, and we're building some fantastic relationships and great opportunities over here. So yeah, come on over.
Beautiful. So I think tonight we're going to start with Surrey. So as I said, I am originally from Surrey. I grew up in a little town called Camberley in Surrey, very small town, but I actually lived in Camberley and then I commuted into London for about 3 years. And in my opinion, you get kind of the best of both worlds, living in Surrey and commuting into London. The commute was pretty good. It used to take me 30 minutes on the fast train and a little bit longer if I got the slow train. But I used to go into Waterloo and then just get the tube and straight to our office on London Bridge. So yeah. Having said that, I do really love love Surrey. One of the reasons that I wanted to continue to live in Surrey was because you know, it's very green, it's very leafy. You can actually do lots of long walks, and it's known as an area of outstanding beauty. So yeah, there's definitely a lot that you can do there. It's got some lovely country pubs that you can go for nice Sunday roasts in, and there's a lot to offer there. But what I will do is I will pass over to Frank, who is our consultant in Surrey and looks after our Surrey schools. So he'll have a little chat through the areas that we work with in Surrey and what they're like and what they have to offer. So yeah, take it away, Frank.
So yeah, so just as Jackie said, so a big appeal for people living or working out in Surrey is that it is a little bit more regional, a little bit more community based. In terms of the Surrey landmass, so it's actually 80% that's either farmland or bushland. So there's a lot of really nice nature walks to do through that area of natural outstanding beauty that runs pretty much all the way through a lot of the areas that we're going to talk about tonight. So just as a bit of an overview, in terms of train prices from central London out to all the places we're talking about tonight, you're looking at somewhere between sort of 12 to 20 pounds per day. It is possible to potentially work out in Surrey and live in London as long as you're at one of the key spots, Wimbledon or Clapham Junction or Waterloo, and travel time. Once again, the areas we're talking about tonight, you're talking between sort of 45 minutes to an hour and 20 maximum, normally around about that hour mark, which isn't too bad. And the benefit of travelling out to schools as well on the overground is that, one, that you'll nearly always get a seat going against the traffic, and two, you are above ground, so you have access to your phone, so you can watch TV programs or listen to music without being sort of interrupted if you were on the tube in the middle of the city. In terms of rent prices, so we as much as you can travel from central London and get out to a lot of the schools, we do, if you are working in Surrey, then we do encourage people to live locally. Rent prices, if you did look to at a lot of these places, it obviously fluctuates just like anywhere in the world. But generally speaking, you're probably looking at about somewhere between 100 to 250 pounds less in rent cost over the course of a month. So it can be a bit more attractive to live locally. That way, you also cut down on your travel costs as well. So we'll go through a few of the different areas that are on this area guide. So we'll start with Epsom. So I've lived in Epsom for now the last year. So that's where I've moved in with my partner who has a little flat there, and we both really love the area. It has a really good town centre with all the main high street shops. A farmers market that happens every Saturday that we make sure we get ourselves to. And yeah, exactly like it says there, that community feel. It has a much more better community feel than what you might find in London, where everything is a little bit more crammed and you feel like you're a little bit more on top of each other.
So
go to the next one.
quintessentially British side of the UK.
We'll move on to the next town on the list. So Woking, in terms of the schools we work with in Woking, we work really closely with two of the pupil referral units. So that's specialist behavioural schools in Woking. In terms of Woking itself, it is only a 30-minute fast train from Clapham Junction. So yeah, sort of door to door, you're not too far away if you are living in Clapham Junction and looking to get down there. The pupil referral units will nearly always have at least anywhere from 1 to 4 teaching assistants in there. And if there's any teachers that do want to work in those settings, there's always positions for them to find a role there. We also work closely with one of the big secondary schools there, and they use us on the day-to-day front. Once again, it does have a well-established town centre, and yeah, you are sort of right in the heart of Surrey if you did want to live there.
Yeah, it's got a really good theatre in Woking as well that does a lot of shows, which if that's something that you enjoy doing, then Woking definitely has that. And as it says here, the Basingstoke Canal is really good as well. You can do lots of walks along there, which is very pretty.
And Guildford's the next major hub down. I'm not sure what the population is there, but it is quite a big metropolis place, and once again, really big town centre, really nice architecture there as well. In terms of trains from London, it's a little bit further out. You go through Woking to get there, so you're looking at maybe a bit over an hour. So for anyone who was going to look to work in Guildford, would definitely look to recommend living in and around there, just because we don't want that travel time to creep up above an hour if possible. Jackie, you probably spent a fair bit of time in Guildford. It's not too far from Camberley.
Well, actually, I did, yes. Guildford was our hotspot for shopping, so I know that's very girly, but if we wanted to go shopping, we would go to Guildford, and it has this beautiful high street, which is all cobbled stones, and you know, all of the top shopping shops there. And yeah, it's pretty cool. And as it says here, there is the Spectrum Leisure Centre, and if you're interested in ice skating, which is a really nice thing to do around the winter time, you can go there and do some ice skating as well. But yeah, I think it's very historic, and anybody that likes history will enjoy living in Surrey because there are lots of historical buildings and sort of historical sites that you can see. Obviously, the Magna Carta was signed in Surrey, so that's something that was of interest to me. And then I think we're going to come to it in a minute, but there's also Thorpe Park in Surrey, which is a really fun amusement centre to go to, and that's what I used to go to when I was a kid. My mum and dad used to take us there for a day out, and I loved it. And even as an adult, I'd still love going to Thorpe Park. It's pretty fun. So, yeah.
Beautiful. We'll move to the next one. You might be, or not, maybe the next one up. So Surbiton is actually a southwest London area, but yeah, traditionally it was a Surrey area as well. So it's a little bit more central. It's zone 5. So it is inside the zones. Once again, it's a more central London type of place. But yeah, all the shops that you need, and yeah, it's in terms of schools that we do work with there. So we're heavy with primary and secondary, and would definitely suit people that want to live either in Surbiton or more central London.
Yeah, nice area. I was actually born in Chertsey, St Peter's
There you
Hospital.
go. There you go. So Chertsey is the home of Thorpe Park. So if you've seen the In-Betweeners, or if you know of anyone that lives over here, then Thorpe Park's probably a place that you normally would take the kids at least once in your life. Some people like to go there every year. It has a lot of the big rides. We actually do a bit of wakeboarding out there during the summertime. So they've got a lake that runs through the Thorpe Park. So go out there a couple of times a year to do some water skiing, which is good. Once again, in Chertsey, we work closely with a couple of the primary schools out there to mainly around SEN support, but then also some teaching posts that do come up. In terms of where it is close to, so we'll get to it in a minute, but Staines is probably one of the areas too that you want to base yourself. In terms of getting to Chertsey from London, you're looking at probably around about an hour, maybe slightly more. So once again, if you were placed in a school in Chertsey, we'd probably look to encourage people to move out there, just so you don't have that lengthy travel.
Beautiful.
So Leatherhead's the next town down past on the same train line as Epsom. Once again, it's right in the middle part of the area of outstanding natural beauty. If you have a look at that map down there, you can see all that green land just below. And yeah, through there, that's where you can do a lot of the really nice nature and bush walks up through the rolling hills that run through that part of Surrey. But yeah, a really nice little town. We currently work with one of the big secondary schools there, and have placed teachers in long-term posts down there in the last year.
Yeah, lovely area.
Red Hill. So Red Hill's straight south from London, on the eastern tip of Surrey. So in terms of working down there. So once again, if you are living at Clapham Junction, you can get down there. It is a little bit less than an hour. But if you did want to live down in Red Hill, then you are also right on Gatwick's doorstep as well. So for anyone who's looking to do a lot of travel while you're over here, being able to live locally and be able to get to the train, get to the airport with ease does help with if you did want to spend a lot of weekends away traveling abroad. There's a lot of benefits to that. Currently, we work with one of the big secondary schools down there and a pupil referral unit, a primary pupil referral unit in Red Hill.
Beautiful. It's got some lovely markets in Red Hill as well, which is very good. On
And
to
Staines,
Staines. I know Staines has some lovely pubs, riverside pubs as well, which is good.
on the River Thames as well. It's where I started my teaching journey over here, not far from Chertsey, so not far from Thorpe Park. It has a fast train that runs into Clapham Junction and Waterloo. So from Staines Station, you're only about 30 minutes from central London. You're also not far from Heathrow Airport. So it is quite a good area to consider if, once again, you're looking to do a lot of international travel on the weekends, and also be in really close proximity to London if you ever wanted to go in there on the weekends.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, just to sum up from about Surrey, not that I'm biased or anything like that, but I totally loved living in Surrey. I did think it's a really beautiful area, very leafy, very green, and you know, there's some really good schools out there as well. So yeah, excellent option for you guys. And now we'll move on to the beautiful Bristol. I was lucky enough to actually go to Bristol when I went back to visit my family at Christmas, and there's definitely a lot to say about Bristol, but I will let you take it away, Finlay, and
Awesome.
yeah, tell us.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. And I enjoyed. I've not been to Surrey before, so that was really interesting to hear about all the different areas, actually. So,
You're going to
in
go
terms of
now,
Bristol,
aren't
then,
you?
yeah, I'm gonna go to Thorpe Park. Yeah. In terms of all the areas then in Bristol, so we work with primary and secondary mainstream schools in Bristol. We also have a dedicated special educational needs consultant. We also have a consultant who works in the area of Somerset. So the county of Somerset actually comes into the city of Bristol a little bit, so they're actually quite connected, those two counties. It's the largest city in the southwest. We're about 530,000 people. So Bristol hits that kind of sweet spot between being big enough and vibrant to have lots going on, but still small enough to feel like have that small town feel. So it's a really great place to live. It regularly features in the kind of top places for young people to live in the UK and all these kind of lists. It's
Kind of like a mini London.
Sorry?
I felt it was kind of like a mini London. Yeah.
It is like a mini London, yeah. A lot of people have actually said it has kind of Melbourne kind of vibes to it as well in some ways. So yeah, I could kind of see that when I was over in Melbourne. So we're the home of Banksy. So a great way to explore Bristol is to do the Banksy walking tour. You can do that on your own. You can just download the map and have a great walk around Bristol. We're a great sporting city. We've got Bristol Bears rugby. We have the cricket team. We have Bristol Dockers, which is the AFL team. So we're quite a diverse sporting city as well. So yeah, if you want any sport that you want to play, Bristol will have a team for you. We are Harbourside City, so on a lovely day when the sun is shining, that's when Bristol really shows off. You'll find basically the half of Bristol down at the Harbourside, drinking ciders, having some beers, and just relaxing, enjoying the sunshine. So yeah, it's really good. We are 15 minutes on a train. You can hop on the train and go across to Bath. If you're planning to come across to the UK, you have to go to Bath. It's an absolutely incredible city. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Place, and there's a lot of the kind of Bath and Roman ruins and stuff that are all still there and still intact. So yeah, so that's Bristol. So moving on to the first kind of region of Bristol that we're going to talk about to live then, which is Totterdown and Bedminster. Totterdown is actually where I live. You can't see my house on the picture there, but I live in one of the colourful houses of Totterdown.
Very pretty houses though, all
yeah,
different colours.
Yeah, it's so cool. Mine's yellow. It's looking a bit tired now, though. I think it needs a bit of a paint. So yeah, so a one bed flat in Totterdown is going to cost you about £750 a month. Totterdown is a fairly reasonably priced place to live. It has really good access to the main train station, which is Templemead Station. It also has really good access to the motorways. It's really cool because it's raised up on this kind of hill. So it kind of sits above the city, so it feels like a kind of leafy, more suburban kind of place, but it's actually right bang in the middle of the city. So it's really great. You've got access to parks there, Victoria Park, etc. And it's also the place that's closest to Somerset as well. So Somerset, a beautiful county, loads of quaint villages, really great place to live. And we work with a lot of schools in Somerset. And as I said before, we have a dedicated Somerset consultant as well. So Somerset's also an option.
Somerset.
Yeah, Somerset,
That's how
they
you
love their
have to
cider down
say
there.
it.
Absolutely, yeah. And then Bedminster as well is known as quite to be a trendy area of Bristol. Up and coming, has really cool markets, has a street called North Street with lots of different cool bars and restaurants. And again, so this is the kind of place, if you're looking to move south of the river in Bristol, but Totterdown and Bedminster would be the kind of recommended places to live. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then so moving on, I think Clifton. Yeah, Clifton. So if you see any pictures of anything to do with Visit Bristol, you'll always see the Clifton suspension bridge, one of the first of its kind in the world. It's an engineering marvel, and it's a really beautiful, beautiful bridge to look at. They light it up at night time. We also have the balloon fiesta, so people flock to Clifton to see the kind of between 50 and 100 balloons fly over the city of Bristol. If it's a good day, it's a really spectacular thing to see.
And
Clifton
one of the
is
Darth Vader, hey.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So one of the great things about Clifton is it's a really old town, and it has really beautiful buildings. It's still very cosmopolitan. When I first moved to Bristol, I moved to Clifton, and that's when I did my teacher training. So it is affordable for students. However, it is a more affluent area, and the rent prices will be higher than the rest of Bristol. They'll probably be the highest in Bristol, up in Clifton.
Okay.
So yeah, that's Clifton. It also has Clifton Downs, which is a great area to enjoy being outside. On the weekends, you'll find all sorts of sports teams playing there. They'll have about 20 football matches going on at one point. So yeah, really great place, open green space to enjoy.
Beautiful.
And we've got Horfield. So Horfield is up towards the north end of Bristol. It's more affordable than Totterdown and Bedminster, and of course Clifton. It's got great shopping. So Gloucester Road has one of the longest chain of independent shops on that road, and it's a really cool and trendy place to hang out in Bristol. Students, when they tend to move to Bristol, tend to move to like the Clifton area, then they can kind of tend to gravitate towards kind of Horfield, Gloucester Road, and it's the same for people who come here and move to Bristol as well. It's a very popular place for young professionals to come and live. So yeah, that's Horfield.
Beautiful.
And we have some other areas of Bristol as well. We have East Bristol, which is Kingswood, Fish Ponds, and Hammam. This is only 25 minutes into the city centre. Again, Bristol's really small. It's a small city geographically. It's quite hilly, so a lot of people either choose to walk about, or there's a kind of a big cycling scene in Bristol. Despite all the hills, Bristol will get you into shape pretty quick, so you can get about on bike pretty handy enough. Up in North Bristol, you've got Filton, which is where our office is based, where we work with a few schools up in North Bristol. So that's kind of like the South Gloucester area that we work in. Stoke Gifford, Frenchy, again, jump on a bus for 20 minutes, you're right bang in the middle of the city centre. So these are kind of more affordable places to live for people who are kind of wanting to save their pennies if they want to go off travelling and exploring the rest of the UK. We've also got St Paul's. Every year, St Paul's, it's not happening this year, unfortunately, due to COVID, but next year, hopefully St Paul's Carnival will be back up and running, and that is a really great day out. It's basically Bristol's massive street party, and yeah, you're going to have a good time if you go down St Paul's Carnival. And Marks Road, again, really great places to live, really in the centre. And then we've got South Gloucester, so that's north of Bristol, the southern part of the region of Gloucester. Yates, Emerson's Green, and Down End, a little bit more rural, a little bit more leafy, but again, you 30-40 minutes drive and you're back in Bristol. So I suppose somebody who's wanting a bit more of a quieter life, South Gloucester would be a good option for you. Or you could also go to one of the more quaint small villages of Somerset, and have a good time there as well. Yeah, so that's Bristol. It's a great place to live. It's my favourite place I've ever lived, and I've lived in a lot of places in the UK. I've not lived in London, but I've lived in a lot of places in the UK. And Bristol, there's something really special and magical about it. The people are really friendly, and it's just a great quality of life.
I loved it when I was there. It's a really beautiful area. So, yeah, very good option. And then finally, we have Wales. So, Carl, have you lived in Wales all your life?
Yeah, I've travelled around a little bit, but yeah, predominantly in Wales. I probably wouldn't go anywhere else. It's the perfect mix between city and country life. It's not a huge population. I think there's more sheep than people, but as you get into the city, it's a great atmosphere. Like I said, the mix between the coastline and countryside and city life for me is the perfect place to be. So yeah, I've lived here for forever, really, and I wouldn't go anywhere else.
Do you speak Welsh?
I tried, but to me, it's very difficult. I'm quite good with languages, but Welsh is like a bad game of Scrabble if you're not familiar. It's a lot. I think we've got the longest train station name, which I'm not going to attempt, but it's somewhere in North Wales. I will try learning for the next webinar and post it then. But
Yeah, well, it's fascinating when you go there, especially for like someone from Australia that would go to Wales and read the signs that are
everything,
this
yeah,
long. Yeah.
everything's in Welsh first and then English
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
It's not a
Oh,
strong Welsh
interesting.
speaking culture in the south. As you progressively go north, it becomes more Welsh, predominantly Welsh. The north is a different dialect to the south. So if you can speak Welsh in the south, it probably won't hold you in great stead when you get to the north. So it's sort of a bit of a practice as you sort of get geographically north. You have to change the way you speak. So it's either you're fully Welsh or you just leave it alone and speak English. There are lots
Yeah.
of Welsh medium schools that we work with throughout South Wales, and obviously we're working in the north as well.
Beautiful. So Cardiff.
Yeah, where
Everybody
do I
knows
start?
Cardiff.
Yeah, Cardiff, the capital, a vibrant, multicultural city with lots of things to do. Like I said in the beginning, it's a 15-minute drive to the coast. It's a 25-minute drive to the Brecon Beacons, which is one of the most iconic places within Wales. Massive mountains and lots of walks to go on. I think if you look at outdoor life, is one of the most spoke about places in the UK to visit. Waterfalls and bits and pieces. But then you can hop back into your car and be back into the city centre. With regards to living in Cardiff, it's one of the more expensive places to live. You'll find rent probably for a flat around £650, £700 a month. Also, but then the further you move out of Cardiff, the cheaper it becomes. So centre of Cardiff can be affordable but reasonably expensive. Affordable for a teacher but reasonably expensive. As you sort of branch out towards the outer sides of Cardiff or the more suburbs, you're going to see rent around probably £450 to £500, which is great because
We might have just lost you
Have we
there.
lost you, Carl?
We lost you, Carl. Are you did you mute yourself?
no. Oh, did I
Oh, there
mute?
you
There
go.
he is.
You're back.
No, I'm back.
You're back
Sorry.
now.
So yeah, we just
Wales is
didn't hear you for a second there.
with regards to, I was talking about travel. So travel into Cardiff from the outskirts could be reasonably cheap. I think you're looking around £15 a week for a bus pass. They're excellent train links, and that goes out to sort of branching from the middle of Cardiff all the way out to the valleys. So your options, obviously, if you're going to work in Cardiff, you could live 15 to 20 minutes out on a train ride in a more reasonable, affordable area. We have obviously
Such
gone,
as.
yeah, such as. There you go there. GPS link. So Newport is where I've lived. I've lived in Newport. Apart from obviously traveling as a student, I lived in Newport all my life. We have it's become a more multicultural city over the last 10 to 15 years. There are mixed faith schools. There are lots of Welsh speaking schools within the area. It's a lot cheaper to live in Newport than it is to live in Cardiff. And it is a 15-minute train ride into the town, into the city centre. So we've gone under massive regeneration. There are sort of nightclubs there. There's put a lot of funding into sort of river and nature. So we've got lots of nature walks around the area. There are so many things to do. For example, if you're a sport lover, Newport up and coming with regards to football, rugby. Again, 20-minute train ride into Cardiff, where we've got the Six Nations rugby, which is one of the biggest sort of sporting occasions in the UK. We have overseas people coming in for the October internationals, where Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, Fiji, Tonga, Samoa. So those happen through October. So they're great events. Price-wise in Newport, you're looking for a flat, or again, the difference is somewhere around £450 to £300 a month. A flat will probably cost you around £350. House, there are a lot of house share opportunities as well. Also, we've invested as well from ANZ UK is striking up partnerships with local agencies with regards to properties and rental properties. So we have discount prices for students that are going to be moving into the area. So that becomes a bit of a plus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Newport is a real great place to live. Just a few little.
People are very friendly as well. When I was there at Christmas, I spent a little bit of time in Newport, and yeah, the locals are very friendly. Always want to chat.
Yeah, I think a few little facts about sort of pros of moving to Newport, to Wales, for example. The 26% of the whole of Wales is now a designated national park area or area of outstanding beauty. So if your thing is getting outdoors, climbing, or just long walks and enjoying the outdoors with sort of great pubs and local villages that are always welcoming, and that might be your thing. We are the only country, I think, in the world with a national walk that can walk the whole coastline of the country. So there's a designated coastal path that we can walk, which covers from obviously the south all the way to the north. So if that's your thing and you want to get the miles in and get your steps in, that's really that's one of the reasons to come, I suppose.
Beautiful.
Swansea. So again, this is where I went to university. This is where I did my teaching degree. This is where I taught for my first year. Great place to live. Gower is probably it's got, I think, around 37 blue flag beaches. So if surfing is a real popular place to go for surfing. Seal spotting, there's dolphins around the Tenby coast. In fact, I was there last week with my children.
We just lost you a little bit, Carl.
Area, which is something you don't expect to see. Have I gone again?
No, you're
back now, mate.
Okay. Yeah, so I was touching on Tenby, which is just maybe a 10-minute drive from Swansea. Paddleboarding out there, dolphin spotting, and they're really sort of becoming a little bit more prevalent around that area. So they're one of the things to see. It's a little bit more expensive to live in Swansea than it would be to live in Newport, with rent around £600 a month for a house and £450 for a flat. Swansea is probably a bigger city with regards to Newport, where there's obviously it's a bigger university. Newport has got a university, but Swansea is becoming an up and coming area for students to go. There's a lot of overseas students come over to study in Swansea. There's a range of courses. We've got the Mumbles Mile, which students will know very well. We've also got some of the best sort of local food areas, fresh fish and all those bits and pieces that you might enjoy. And like I said, if catching waves is your thing, if you're abroad and you want to come over, this is a very popular thing to do. It's a more relaxed atmosphere living in Swansea than it is sort of city life. You'll find that everyone's a little bit laid back. The schools that we work there are fantastic. In fact, they've got one of the leading schools with regards to SEN in that area. It's just been built, and currently we're recruiting for so we've got all of their recruitment at the moment. So it's quite a big job for us, and it's one that we've
Lots of
taken.
positions available there then.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, we've got and again the same with Cardiff. We're working in very prestigious areas, but Swansea has now become an area of a lot of regeneration has gone into it, and money has been put in for education. So SEN schools now are sort of being built, and the funding is there, and the positions are there, and we're currently recruiting for those positions.
Awesome, great to know. And then regional, out in regional Wales, what would it be like to live out in the sticks?
The sticks have become less of the sticks in the last couple of years.
Ah,
We've now actually got great rail access into the city. Many years ago, they would have been sort of it would have been really difficult to get yourself into Cardiff for a 9 o'clock start at a school. That's no longer the case. There's been a lot of rail investment with the HS2 going to London from Wales, which is now speeds up our journey, cuts off, I think, around 40 or 50 minutes, which is great if you're going to go into big city life or the big smoke. But if you're just coming into Cardiff, those rail links are fantastic now. You would normally find crowded trains, late trains, but they're fantastic. Like I said, so you can get in from the sticks out in Rhondda and Taff or Blaen y Gwent, which is very rural. I think that you can get into Cardiff or get into Newport within 20 to 30 minutes. So it cut down your time, which probably would have been an hour. We work with so many schools in that area. If you are interested in learning Welsh, that's your place to go. RCTs or Rhondda and Taff is on the border of the Brecon Beacons, probably one of the prettiest drives between Rhondda and Taff to Blaen y Gwent that you'll ever see. If you're going to have a car in Wales and you want to travel around, those are the type of roads you want to go on. Winding roads through the mountains, lots of stops, scenic areas, picnic areas, seen places of sort of great natural beauty. So school-wise, we are working with probably 3 of the leading schools in that area. We also have an agreement with Rhondda and Taff that we provide all their science and maths teachers from over in Oz. So if you're qualifying for maths and science, we can put you forward to Rhondda and Taff, and there isn't really at the moment a science or maths teacher that we haven't managed to place. So it's looking like a guaranteed job, which is a great thing to know before you head over. Also, another great thing to know is that it is dirt cheap to live in the sticks. You can pick up a house, even to buy a house is around £60,000, sometimes a little bit lower. Rent could be anything between £250 to £300 a month, which I'm guessing is substantially cheaper than anywhere in England.
Substantially, and that leaves a lot of leftover money to be able to go traveling and see Europe. Hey?
Yeah, exactly. And if that's your thing, yeah, and you're going to come over and travel in your spare time, it's a great thing to do, because you'll have, like I said, excess money that you can use during the summer holiday to travel Wales, or like you said, go abroad. Festival wise, it's a cracking option. And again, with the links being really quick into Cardiff, it would be daft not to take that decision, really.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of our areas, and I think it is super exciting that we have all these options to offer our Aussies, and you could just go to one destination, or you could spend a little time in each destination, and see how you're feeling. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us tonight, guys. That has been really informative, and to anyone that's tuned in, I will give you a call and just see if you have any further questions. More than happy to answer them, but start thinking about all of these different locations, and I can put you in touch with one of these lovely consultants, or any of our other consultants that we have over in the UK. and we can go from there. Just to let everybody know as well, next week we have another webinar. It's not part of our Educator Edition series, but it is a general webinar on moving to the UK, and we go over lots of things like visas, the requirements that we need, and just, you know, cover all of that side of stuff. So yeah, hopefully you found this interesting and useful, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you so much, guys.
Awesome. Thanks,
Goodbye.
guys.
Thanks, Jackie.
Cheers, guys. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.